I'm Steve Lascazzo, and this is The Way. Thank you for joining This is The Way podcast for our Skeleton Crew Season 1, Episode 4 review. Episode 4 was interesting and important. I think you need to see the kids face a little adversity rather than just immediately finding the coordinates and going straight home. Especially since if it was that easy for Kim to find the correct coordinates, well then at-attin wouldn't have been hidden very well. It was also interesting that SM-33 may have turned out to be the savior of at-attin, because if he hadn't destroyed those coordinates, I guess somebody would have found at-attin a lot sooner. It's a little sad that some of those planets, or most of those planets, are now very different from at-attin in that we saw at-Acheron, I think, become a lot less peaceful. I liked that Neel got his turn to be a hero, and I think there's more hero turns for Fern, KB, and Wim left. But I thought this was an enjoyable episode. It may not have been my favorite. And I saw a lot of people on the internet saying kind of the same thing. But what does my guest co-host think?
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
One of the things that you noticed was that the parents weren't in this episode. The parents of Wim, Fern, KB, and Neel. So they weren't in this episode. They're worried, though, right? So they're doing something about it. Meanwhile, the kids are doing their own thing. And just like I thought, they didn't find the coordinates to their planet. They found coordinates to a planet. One of the ones that had been discovered. So, what do you think about what the kids did in this episode?
Well, there was a lot of really brave things and interesting things that happened throughout that video. Like how there was like two different people and they were like two different tribes and they were kind of battling each other. And Neel's like, why don't you guys just make it up and stop fighting? And then there was the part where they rebooted SM-33 and they told them what really had happened.
We kind of figured that they weren't going to get home after 4 episodes, but now they have another problem. The only person or thing that knows where their planet is wants to kill them. Right? So, do you think that the kids are doing better than you would do in that situation with some of your friends? Or do you think that the kids are making any mistakes?
I think that if I was there, I would probably just not end up being able to do anything. I'd probably either be killed, stolen, or something.
What do you think about this episode? Do you think it was... Where would you rank it? Not in time, but and how much you enjoyed it. Is this the most enjoyable, the least enjoyable? Do you have a ranking so far of the first 4 episodes?
Yeah, so the first one's probably the first one. And my second favorite's gotta be maybe like the 3rd episode. And then my third favorite is the 4th episode.
So the one they get captured in, the 2nd episode, is your least favorite so far?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what about this episode did you not like? Was there... I know you kind of covered your eyes when Hayna kissed Neel on the cheek.
Yeah.
So was that your least favorite part?
Yes.
Okay. Why? You just don't want to see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like her.
What was your favorite part of the episode then?
I like the part where they're sitting there and they kind of just share how their planets are alike and different. And it kind of just creates a resemblance of friendship in there.
Okay. So you liked the part where Neel was kind of being the hero. He was the hero a few times, right? He was trying to create peace on a planet that only knew war, which is kind of weird that they wouldn't even have thought like, oh yeah, we could be peaceful about it. But still, he did that on his own, and then he bravely stood out against the clan leader, and then he went out with his friends even though he was scared. He kept saying, "I'm scared, but I'm going to do it." And then he threw a rock at SM-33 when he was going to tear out somebody's arm. So, what do you think about Neel now? Do you think he's
really brave.
You still think he's adorable and cute?
Yes, he's brave, but he also he's really scared of it. But he's going to be brave anyways.
Is he your favorite character, or is Fern still your favorite?
I like Fern still.
Fern's still your favorite?
Yes.
Okay. I think Wim was just trying to be nice to Fern, and KB had a nice moment in episode 3. So now every one of the kids has had kind of a show that focused on them, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of nice that each one of them gets to take a turn being, Fern took charge in episode 2 and became the captain. In the first episode, we really focused on Wim and how he wanted to be a Jedi and how he was, trying to earn his father's respect. The third one, we spent more time with KB and we learned a little bit more about her. There's still a lot to learn. And now in the fourth episode, we learn about Neel. But now we're starting to learn a little bit more about the planets. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be quite interesting to find out why all these individual planets may have fallen. Maybe it was because they had all those coordinates in the supervisor's tower, right?
Yes.
So in a weird way, it feels like SM-33 may have saved at-attin. So what do you think we're going to do? Are we going to go visit the planets? Do you think they're going to find another planet that's a lot similar again? Do you think that they're going to keep finding destroyed planets and have to go through a lot of treasure hunting? What do you think is going to be the next thing that the kids do?
Can I say something first?
Sure.
I think that maybe the reason why they're not allowed in the supervisor's tower is because there's coordinates to every other planet there, and they don't want the kids to know about that.
Right, but once the planet's overthrown, right, then it doesn't matter. Then they could go. Anybody could go up there. So that planet being hidden may mean that all of the other planets have the same problem. Is maybe the captain of this ship, Onyx Cinder, that got buried on at-attin, maybe that captain went around to all the planets and told Smee to destroy the coordinates so that no one else could find it. Because he said, he also told me if anybody comes poking around to tear their arms out limb from limb, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they're going to be able to save Smee, SM-33, or do you think...
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. KB said that it only is going to take 100 million circuits to repair something.
That won't take long at all.
Would you be sad if he was lost and he just hated them now? Would you be sad about that?
I'd be a little sad.
Yeah. What do you think about Jod now? Jod seemed kind of sneaky and tricky, but he kind of came in and saved them.
Yeah.
Do you think he's a better guy than you thought before, or do you think he's still the same? Yeah? Who do you think is the most responsible adult on the show? Is it Wendell, Wim's father, Undersecretary Farah, Fern's mom, or, we didn't really get to meet Neel's parents or KB's parents that much.
Maybe Jod, because he kind of saved them at the end. Well, near the middle.
What do you think is going to happen next in the next episode? So we kind of figured that they weren't going to go straight home. Neel passed out, right? So what do you think they're going to do next?
They're going to try and revive him, and then they're going to they're going to look at one of the coordinates that are closer to them and see if maybe they can try and find more information about at-attin on one of the others.
Would you be disappointed if there wasn't any great big mystery on at-attin, that it was just a planet that was safe? Or do you think that's... You would be?
Yeah.
So you're hoping there's kind of some treasure or some big reason why they've been hidden?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the fault of the writers or the directors that this was not as exciting an episode. I think you kind of have to have one of these in your season. And it's not always the most enjoyable part of the season. But like I said before, I think it's important. You got to show some growth. You got to show some adversity. And that's not always the most exciting part of a story. Sometimes it is. And there's a lot left for us to find. But it is a kid's show. And what are you going to do? Show two of them getting slaughtered and killed and the other two becoming grizzled veterans? No, you're not going to do that. I like the direction of the show. I think there's better episodes ahead. Next week, it will be a Christmas Eve episode. Jake Schreier will be the director, and I'm guessing, once again, it'll be Ford and Watts writing. And we'll pick up where we left off. Neel will wake up. They'll figure out a way to get SM-33 back up and running without endangering the crew. It's going to be an exciting second half of the season, I think. If you'd like to tell us what you think, please send us an email. thisisthewaypodcast@gmail.com, or interact with us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, @thisisthewaypod. I mean, the best way to get in touch with us is email, but there's not a lot of chatter. I don't know if it's the show or it's just our past criticism of some of the Star Wars television. I'm still enjoying the Skeleton Crew a lot. Until our next episode, I'm Steve Loscalzo, and this is The Way. May the Force be with you, always.